24/7 heating in every room and the energy companies hadn't been deregulated, it's created the perfect storm, hasn't it? But the woolies and the thermals are still there. And I think a lot more of us, including Maggie Philbin, who's with us throughout the show, definitely turning to our woolies and our thermals this morning. Stay with us, Natalie, because listening to you is Dale Vince, founder and CEO of the energy firm Ecotricity, which specialises in green energy. Dale, good morning.
Good morning, Felicity.
So give us a quick rundown. How many customers do you have? How big are you in the market?
We're a pretty small player. We've got an annual turnover of about 300 million, customer numbers of about 180,000. We're a specialist. We use our customers' bills to build windmills and solar projects and gas mills, actually. And so we've got about 100 megawatts of self-built green generation that we supply our customers with. We're a dedicated green energy company. We're actually the founders of the global green energy market 25 years ago.
Now, green energy, people might think, right, well, if our energy bills are going up because of the wholesale price of gas, then if I switch to a green tariff, my bills won't rise. Are your bills rising?
Yes, they are, because of a number of factors. I mean, it's such a complicated picture, but renewable energy, price-wise in the market, is tied to the price of fossil fuels in the same way that fossil fuels made in Britain in the North Sea, for example, which supplies 40% of Britain's gas this winter, is tied to the global price of fossil fuel. So we paid 10 times more for gas from the North Sea in the last 12 months at times than we did before, only because the global price of gas went up. It didn't cost any more to get out of the ground. So the market itself does some counterintuitive things when it comes to pricing.
Now, speaking of the market itself, more than 25 firms went into administration last year. I don't think anybody could have predicted that big a shift. Bulb was obviously one of the largest that went under. You've talked about being a smaller company, being a niche company. Tell me about the impact of this energy crisis on your company.
Yeah, it's been difficult, but not terminal for us, because we're partly because we're vertically integrated, but also partly because we're exempt from the price cap as a green supplier, a truly green supplier. And also we hedged. A lot of the suppliers who went out of business didn't buy their power and gas forwards, which is a fundamental mistake. It was a gamble that they took, and it paid off for a few years, and it all came wrong this year. And of course, the price cap meant that companies weren't allowed to adjust their price to accommodate the increasing wholesale price, which is also a bit counterintuitive, because that's what businesses normally do. So it drove them out of the market. But we were hedged. But even when you're hedged as far as you can be in electricity, that's about 90%. You're still exposed for 10%. And a thing called the balancing market, every day, every hour of every day, everybody's in the balancing market to make their position whole, and all kinds of other factors. So, you know, it's probably hit us to the tune of a few million quid, I would say, so far.
Now, when you say you're not price capped, does that mean that your bills have risen beyond the amount for the price cap? And do you think that that's sort of, what do we call it? We call it a greenium, don't we? A premium for going green. Do people still, even with high energy bills, do they still want to do what's seen as the right thing when it comes to switching to a greener tariff?
Yeah, they do, absolutely. You know, when we put our prices up, I always write to our customers and I say, look, you know, we regret this, we have to do this, and sometimes we put our prices down, and I still write to our customers. And we always say the same thing. Look, you know, I don't want customers to be with us if they can't afford us, just to do the right thing. You know, there are obviously cheaper deals out there because they're artificially cheap. You know, they're loss-making tariffs that other suppliers are forced to make. And you know, I'd say to our customers, go on one of them. If you can't afford us, please leave.
Natalie Thomas from the Financial Times, what are you hearing in terms of government support? Because we always get lots of texts, lots of anxious people getting in touch and saying, I can't handle higher bills. And there are a few different ideas sloshing around, aren't there? Some people are calling for the 5% VAT rate on household bills to be scrapped, but Boris Johnson seems to have rejected that. What do you think the government is likely to do?
Well, discussions have been ongoing between the government and energy suppliers throughout the festive period. There was a meeting on the 27th of December, which of course was a bank holiday, and then again Tuesday and Wednesday of this week. And energy suppliers have set out a number of potential options for the government to consider. You mentioned the VAT cut there, which obviously the Labour Party has been calling for as well. Some suppliers have been pushing very hard for a loan scheme, which would see potentially bank finance underwritten by the Treasury, help suppliers to spread the costs of the recent wholesale prices over a much longer period for consumers. So, you know, it wouldn't have to filter through to that rise in April. There have also been other slightly more complicated proposals, such as a mechanism that would see energy companies receive subsidies if the wholesale price went above a certain threshold, and increasing support for households via something known as the Warm Homes Discount, which is a discount on bills for around 2.2 million more vulnerable households. And then others, and I think your other guest Dale has called for this as well, have suggested a windfall tax on oil and gas producers to help subsidise the higher cost for households.
Dale, what is it that you want the government to do?
I mean, that's a good point. The last point that made there, the windfall tax, is a very good idea, because if you look at what's happening, the North Sea operators have been making a killing this winter, where we calculate they've made about £20 billion in excess profits. And that's roughly the cost you can see in the retail market as well, the pain that's being caused and the additional costs that are coming, actually. So, I mean, a windfall tax would be a fair thing to do. The North Sea operators don't need that money, weren't planning to have that money, and it's a hole we've got in the economy somewhere else. But other than that, you know, typically the government talk about high energy prices and bemoan them. They wring their hands about them. But what they don't talk about is the fact that they take £9 billion a year from our energy bills in a combination of VAT and about 5 social and environmental policies. It's a stealth tax of about £300 per household on our power and gas bills every year, and they could take that away. That's about half of the rise that's coming through the price cap. They could take that away in a flash. So I think two things: take away government taxes. These programs should be funded centrally. That's quite normal. And let's have a windfall tax on the North Sea.
Dale Vince, founder and CEO of energy firm Ecotricity, thank you very much for joining us. Also, many thanks to Natalie Thomas, who's energy correspondent for the Financial Times. Lots to chew over there. Before we get on with the show, let's cross to Sydney, where Ellie Oldroyd has an update on the cricket.
Yes, it's been quite a good day so far, Fliss. It was a horrible morning for England, but they have made the absolute best of it this afternoon. 164 for 4 now, so they're 252 runs behind Australia, so 52 runs away from saving the follow-on, which did look quite unlikely before the lunch interval when they were 36 for 4. But Johnny Bairstow and Ben Stokes have both hit half-centuries. Bairstow's 50 coming off 80 balls. Both Stokes and Bairstow have hit sixes off Lyon. Stokes is on 66, one of his bravest innings, particularly bearing in mind, and actually just as I speak, he's been given out LBW. So that little spell for England being on top, enjoying themselves, has come to an end. Stokes out for 66. I don't know whether I don't think it's been reviewed. He's getting a lot of congratulations, Nathan Lyon, being patted on the head by his teammates. But Ben Stokes really giving it a real go here for England.